This is an estimate for it to a family house. We've dumped the $300,000 you've been saving up right here. Huh. Wait. Did you already use that money? Be thankful we put it to good use. You're the one at fault for hiding it. Did you guys even check the name on the account? My name is Laura, and I'm a 35-year-old office worker. My husband, Mason, and I have been married for 2 years. We met at a house party, and he was the one who was really interested, which led to the start of our relationship. After dating for about a year, he proposed, and we got married. During our dating period, and even after we got married, Mason was really sweet. I was convinced I had married a good man. However, after about a year of marriage, his attitude started to change. Initially, he agreed to share the household chores, helping out with cleaning and laundry. He wasn't good at cooking, so I took charge of that. We had a balanced distribution of household chores. However, he started saying that he was tired more often, and the pace of his housework slowed. Then he gradually stopped doing the chores assigned to him. Since I also have a job, if I'm responsible for cooking every day, I hardly have time for cleaning or doing laundry. As a result, I inevitably end up doing everything on the weekends. Even though we had agreed on sharing the housework chores before, he refuses to help out. When I ask him, he insists I should do less housework. With that, he stubbornly refuses to do any housework. Around this time, he started acting like the dominant husband, insisting on having his own way in everything. His selfish words and actions, which could also be described as willful, started to take a toll on me mentally. And then there's another person who bothers me, my mother-in-law. She has a knack for showing up unannounced at our house, timed perfectly for when I get home. I haven't even prepared the food, and the room isn't properly tidied up either. It's really troublesome because she comes over in this state. She then walks around the house, criticizing me. What's this? How messy? How much are you slacking off in housework? I can't believe you're making Mason live in such a dirty room. You're a failure as a wife. It's really hard being nagged at by my mother-in-law when I come home tired from work. Actually, cleaning and doing laundry are supposed to be Mason's responsibilities. Even when I try to explain the situation, she doesn't listen at all. What are you saying? My son is working, isn't he? He shouldn't have to do housework. Well, I also work. It's different from you, who works half-heartedly. Mason works hard, battling the harsh waves of society. I work really hard too, but no matter what I say, it doesn't seem to get through to her. She was never a reasonable person to talk to in the first place. Anyway, what are you making for dinner today? You have to make sure Mason gets proper nutrition. Well, today I'm making fried chicken, salad, and some soup. That's not enough. Make 2 more dishes. I can't really make that much more after coming home from work. Stop talking back. What kind of upbringing did your parents give you? Fed up with being told all these things, I said something confrontational. Isn't it really rude for you to show up unannounced at our house? Didn't your parents teach you basic manners? My mother-in-law's eyes widened with anger. What? Who do you think you are? A daughter-in-law should not be so impertinent. At that moment, when my mother-in-law was screaming, Mason came home. I'm home. Oh, hi, Mom. I didn't know you were here. Welcome back, Mason. Listen to this. Laura was so mean to me. She really hurt my feelings. With that, my mother-in-law started pretending to cry. My husband, taking her words at face value, glared at me in anger. Hey, what's this about, Laura? It's terrible that you hurt my mom. Wait a minute, she was the one who hurt me first. Okay, I just talked back a bit. My mother-in-law, pretending to be innocent, began to cry dramatically. I didn't say anything. I just thought I'd give Laura some advice about housework, but she got all worked up and became angry. What, Laura? What kind of person are you? Wait, you're just going to swallow her words whole. There's no way my mom would lie. It's low of you to bully her when I'm not around. I didn't think you were that kind of woman. My husband was completely on my mother-in-law's side and wouldn't listen to a word I said. As a punishment, you're going without dinner today. Give the dinner over there to Mom. What? No way. If you understand, either go to your room or leave the house. Mom probably doesn't want to be with you. With that said by my husband, I had no choice but to leave the house. I pushed myself with a tired body and managed to make dinner, but why do I have to suffer such treatment? Feeling deeply sad, I decided to go to a nearby diner and have a meal to kill time. I didn't want to see my mother-in-law, so I killed about 2 hours and returned home late at night. She'd already left, which was a relief, but my husband had a lot to say. I still hadn't forgiven you. My mom was deeply shocked. She had taken the trouble to come and check on us. Being told such things, I thought it would be better not to argue with my husband and offered a mere formal apology. Seeing my obedience, my husband looked satisfied. Ever since then, my mother-in-law has been showing up without notice, criticizing my housework here and there. And when my husband comes home, she says things like, "I want to eat with Mason alone," and either sends me out or they both go out to eat without touching the food I made. My husband always sides with my mother-in-law, and a flow has been created where my mother-in-law picks a fight with me for no reason, and I get scolded by my husband. It was so persistent and mentally tough that I decided to talk to my father-in-law. He looked very apologetic because he didn't even know that my mother-in-law had been coming to our house quite often. "I'm truly sorry. I didn't notice because she always said she was going to have a meal with her friends." No, it's not your fault. I've been giving her money for meals because she says it's difficult to socialize with friends, but haven't you been accepting it?" "I didn't know that." "I see. I'm truly sorry." My father-in-law apologized to me many times. I felt relieved because my father-in-law promised me that he would talk sternly to my mother-in-law. However, just as I felt some relief, my mother-in-law visited our house again and started complaining to me. "You're really cowardly going to tell my husband on me. I'm just coming to check on you and Mason. It's really sad," she said, getting angry. "But I couldn't lose any more. I heard that you've been getting money every time you come to our house from father-in-law. He said he gave it to you for meal expenses. But why hasn't that money been circulated to us? Are you pocketing all the money you get from him?" "Whoa, what are you talking about? Don't say such things that sound terrible. I'm treating Mason to eating out. But my father-in-law said he's been giving it to you every time. You've also eaten at my house quite a few times, haven't you? What would he think if he knew you were mostly pocketing it? You're a terrible daughter-in-law. Are you trying to trouble me?" "I'm the one who's troubled. Please don't come here so often." "Shut up. I'm just coming to my son's house. It's not like I'm coming to see you." With that, my mother-in-law plopped down on the sofa. "I don't want to see your face. I'll be here until Mason comes back, so please go somewhere." I was completely fed up. Not wanting to see her face, I decided to stay in my room. Later, my husband came home and started a cheerful conversation with her in the living room. I didn't want to deal with their complaints, so I sneaked out while they were talking and went to a diner. I returned home about 3 hours later. My husband was already asleep, and my mother-in-law was gone, so it was quiet and peaceful as I retreated to my room. That's when I felt something was off. Wondering what it was, I opened my closet to find that my favorite branded purse was missing. I immediately suspected my mother-in-law. She must have taken the opportunity to break into my room and steal it while I was gone. Unbelievable. I talked to my father-in-law right away. He was speechless. Really, I can't believe she'd stooped to stealing. At first, he didn't fully believe me, but when I showed him a photo of me buying the purse a long time ago and gave him the serial number that I had kept just in case, he agreed to look into it while my mother-in-law was away. "I'm really sorry for my foolish wife, Laura," he apologized, and we met at a cafe where he returned the purse. He apologized several times with sincerity. Really, what am I going to do with those two? I want to teach them a lesson somehow. After saying that, my father-in-law seemed to have an idea. I was surprised to hear the plan he proposed. Would it really work? Later, I decided to carry out my father-in-law's plan. As usual, my mother-in-law came to our house and immediately glared at me. You haven't been stealing anything, have you? What do you mean? My purse has been stolen. Hey, that purse was originally mine. That's unfortunate. I suspect you're the one who took it. Why would you think that? Humph, because you don't seem to have received a proper education. Is that so? Should we report it to the police? No, there's no need to go that far. My mother-in-law didn't want to get the police involved because it would reveal that she was the thief. But she would likely come rummaging through my room again, and that's exactly the opportunity I'm looking for. When my husband came home, I deliberately went out. I've moved all my favorite expensive items to my parents' home. I've already talked to my parents about preparing for a divorce, so there was nothing in my room except for the bare essentials for daily use, except for one thing. I intentionally came home earlier than usual. My mother-in-law was just about to leave. She and my husband were smirking at each other. Seeing their expressions, I realized that they had fallen into a trap. It seemed like my father-in-law's plan was going to succeed. On the weekend, my mother-in-law came to our house again. Not wanting to get involved, I holed up in my room, but then I was summoned by her and my husband. Both of them had smug looks on their faces. We didn't think you'd have that much saved up. What are you talking about? Don't play dumb. We're talking about the money in the savings account. You're so cheap, not even telling Mason about it. I generously used it on behalf of the family. What? What do you mean? My husband and mother-in-law started laying out some estimates on the table while smirking. This is an estimate for a family house. We poured in the $300,000 that you saved up. Why did you already use that money? You should be grateful we put it to good use. Why would you do something like that without asking? It's your fault for hiding it. We used my $50,000 savings and bought it outright. No interest that way. I can't believe it, making such a big decision without me. Huh, you think you have a say in this? That's right. From now on, you'll be our slave, doing all the housework. If you want to run, you can, but don't forget that it was mostly your money that bought this. You wouldn't want to waste $300,000 and leave by yourself, would you? My husband and mother-in-law were laughing out loud. Utterly despicable. I can't believe I married such a terrible person. Somewhere in my heart, I was hoping that my husband was a good person being led astray by my mother-in-law, but it didn't seem that way. I have no regrets now. I pulled out the divorce papers I had tucked away in a drawer and presented them to my husband. Let's get divorced. My husband and mother-in-law were surprised. Are you serious? You're gonna lose big time. I'm sorry, but I'm not losing anything. Huh. Did you guys check the name on the account? Huh. Upon my saying this, my husband hastily checked the account name, and both he and my mother-in-law looked very shocked. Whoa, what? Why is it under your name? She screamed out in disbelief. Hey, what's going on here, Laura? Did you steal my mom's bank book? Please don't say such things. I was just entrusted with it by my father-in-law. Even as I said that, they didn't believe me. Cut the crap, that's impossible. They said, that's right, you thieving cat. We'll take you to the cops. As soon as they realized they were at a loss, they switched their attitude. Such a low level of decency. Feel free to talk to the police. I'll submit the footage from the security cameras I installed in my room. It clearly shows both of you breaking into my safe and taking the contents. At my words, they went pale. But you're also guilty of stealing my mom's bank book. That's right, you're going down with us. Just as they were shouting like this, my father-in-law arrived. In truth, when my husband called me into the living room, I texted my father-in-law, Dad, listen. Laura stole my mom's bank book. This woman is a thief. Quiet, both of you, shut up. At his angry voice, my husband and mother-in-law froze in surprise. I entrusted your bank book to Laura. Why? Why would you do such a thing? Because you and our son were causing her distress. Not only were you bullying her, but you even stooped so low as to steal her purse. Shameful. What? What are you talking about? Playing dumb won't work. I returned that purse to Laura. My mother-in-law was in shock, realizing that everything had been laid bare to my father-in-law. But why would you entrust the bank book to Laura? If you're the kind of person who'd thoughtlessly steal a daughter-in-law's purse, you'd definitely try to open a safe if you found one. That was a trap I set to test you, but I never imagined you'd build a whole house. He seemed utterly stunned. I transferred that $300,000 to you because I decided to divorce you as a division of our assets, the father-in-law coldly stated. Knowing you, I was worried you'd spend it like there's no tomorrow, so I even considered having Laura put it in a safe until everything was settled. The color drained from the mother-in-law's face at his words. What? Divorce. I've reached my limit. You've done as you pleased too much. From now on, you can live however you want by yourself. Wait a moment. That means I've used up all the money you gave me for the division of our assets. That's right, but you only have yourself to blame. I've done my part in dividing our assets. I won't give you a single penny more. But what will I do if I'm left penniless from the divorce? You've still got the house, so you'll be fine. He responded coldly, dismissing her pleas and shoving the divorce papers at her. My husband was standing there, his mouth hanging open. I shoved the divorce papers at him as well. Why are you dawdling? Hurry up and fill it out. Is this for real? Are we getting a divorce too? Obviously, and I still intend to claim from you. What? I've been recording the numerous verbal abuses you and your mom have been hurling at me. I consulted with a lawyer, and it seems I can claim damages for emotional distress due to your harassment. No way. Furthermore, I know about your affair. What? I've received evidence photos from the detective agency, so I'll also be claiming damages for your infidelity. According to the lawyer, it should be about $50,000 from you. But wait a second. I don't have any savings left because I used $50,000 to buy a house. There's an option for installment payments, so that should be fine, right? And so, my divorce from my husband was settled without a hitch. Thanks to the lawyer, I was able to properly collect the damages. It seemed that the father-in-law was also able to part ways with the mother-in-law. My husband and mother-in-law had recklessly built a house using money they mistakenly thought was mine, and in doing so, they lost all their savings. They apparently considered selling the house, but the value had dropped to about half of the purchase price, so they wouldn't be able to sell it without incurring a major loss. The mother-in-law isn't yet of retirement age to receive Social Security, and my ex-husband had his salary cut and was transferred to the countryside because his affair was discovered at his company. Despite finally buying a house, he was transferred and now he's living in a cheap company apartment in the countryside while paying the damages. My ex-mother-in-law, despite having a splendid house, can't afford any luxuries and apparently has to work part-time to earn a living, forcing her to lead a frugal life. Meanwhile, I have quite a bit of leeway in my life thanks to the money I diligently saved since my single days. I'm thinking of continuing to save money and starting to invest to increase my assets since I'm fine without a romantic relationship for a while.